Hello again, everyone. This is Chris Massimo with Massimo Motivation, and today I want to talk about a growth mindset and what does that mean, what comes with it, what are the pros and cons of that. It's just something I've been thinking about a lot today. What I tend to find is the majority of people fall into one of two categories. They're either what I call floaters or what most people know as perfectionists. So a floater is somebody who just kind of lets the wind take them wherever they're supposed to go. And there is something to be said for being spontaneous and the excitement that brings. But any successful person will tell you that being too spontaneous, not having any structure or organization, is not going to get you very far. So those are also the type of people who just kind of let life decide this, life will take care of it, or things just happen for a reason. They're not really individuals who seek out opportunity, and when they see other people obtain opportunity, they mark it up to them being lucky versus them going out and knocking on doors, metaphorically speaking. The other group that most of you are familiar with are perfectionists. They're the individuals who get frozen by fear of not being good enough, or they get so caught up in one particular idea or item or task that they stall themselves from getting the rest of their work done. They're a group of people who are sometimes too organized. They're sort of the antithesis of the floater. Now, in the middle is this growth mindset, and the middle is more rare. I think most people tend to lean towards one side of that spectrum or the other. But a growth mindset is the type of person who intentionally seeks out failures. They're the type of person who believes in knocking on doors. They're not stalled by fear of failure. They love failure, whereas the perfectionist tends to fear failure, or they believe they're not ready for it. They understand that failure is a very good thing. They understand that life is the greatest teacher, and they understand that growth is impossible without some sort of discomfort or pain, albeit whether it is physical pain from tearing a muscle and building a muscle, if it's studying for a long period of time in school to the point to where you get a headache or fatigue, or even emotional pain. How hard is it for you to sit down with your loved one and admit that you've done wrong? It's awkward and it's emotionally draining to have those types of conversations, and so we avoid them. But the growth mindset person, the person in the middle, understands that these things are a necessity, and so they seek them out. So this sounds great, right? Having a growth mindset, seeking out opportunities, growing from your failures, da-da-dee-da-dee-da. But what are some of the cons that come with being in a growth mindset? One, first off the top of my head, is you have to make sacrifices, and typically those come relationally. So you have to have people in your life who really understand the bigger picture in your mind and in your heart, and if they really love you, they will. But most people can't get beyond their own needs, and so they can't understand, they can't support you in what you're trying to do with your growth mindset. Having a growth mindset can be a very, very, very lonely, having a growth journey can be a very, very lonely journey. You have to surround yourself with people who get it. You also have to surround yourself with people who, oh wow, there's a police officer here. Woo! It's not for me. That's good. You also have to surround yourself, sorry about that, with people who get it. And that means other lions is the metaphor I like to use. Lions understand lions. Sheep understand sheep. Athletes understand athletes. Nerds understand nerds. We flock to people who get us because we like to feel understood. We like to feel like people get us. And so having a growth mindset, another con to that, is that you're going to have trouble finding people who get it. You're going to have trouble finding people who can collaborate with you and discuss ideas with you, and that can share in that growth mindset with you. There are also benefits to being a perfectionist or being or leaning towards being a perfectionist and leaning towards being a floater. So I don't want it to sound as though those are necessarily bad things. But if you want to be quote unquote successful and obtain your goals and your dreams and your aspirations, most of those are going to require a growth mindset. Now, there are some people, particularly floaters are the ones I want to talk about here, who truly don't have these grandiose dreams and ambitions and aspirations, and they're genuinely okay with getting by and just making enough to enjoy themselves, going to work 9 to 5, and then that's it. I think these are rare though. I think they are out there. I think most people try to convince themselves that they're okay with their life. There are those, however, who really don't want more than that, and that's fine, because the pro to that is it tends to be a very peaceful life if that's how you enjoy it. You tend to know exactly what's coming. You don't have to go outside of your comfort zone very often. And if you can sit in front of me or somebody else, look us in the eye and say, you know what, Chris, genuinely, I'm okay with where I'm at. I'm happy making whatever I'm making. I'm happy going to work Monday through Friday or whatever your schedule is, and it pays the bills. I'm able to do what I enjoy. I'm able to, if I'm a gamer, I'm able to play games. If I like to travel every now and then, short distances, I make enough to travel. Whatever it is, then that's fine. Culture, though, is going to push you to the growth mindset. And for the most part, I think it should. However, I do feel there are a few instances where you have to understand that that is just who that person is. Again, rare, but it's there. So I want you to take note of which type of person you are and where you fall on the spectrum of floater to growth mindset to perfectionist. And I want you to really evaluate if you're happy where you're at. And if you're not, you need to start making some changes. Otherwise, your life is just going to continue to be what it is today. So that's something that was really on my heart and in my mind today. I've been thinking a lot about it. It's a very interesting concept, having a growth mindset. It's not all glamour. You're going to give more than you're going to get typically. But it is also usually a necessity if you want to get to where you want. So take note, do some reflection on that, and hopefully that'll help.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.